So welcome guys to this edition of Smart Talk, where we're going to discuss future-proofing employee finances, especially with the NPS Vatsalya and other financial wellness program. And this in this edition of Smart Talk, we have a special guest, Mr. Kuldeep Parashar. So let me first give you a brief introduction about him. So Kuldeep is a founder and CEO of Pension Box, India's first pension app, which he co-founded in 2021. He's passionate about solving India's retirement crisis. He aims to empower people to better plan their golden years. Kuldeep has been featured in major platforms like Amazon Prime's Mission Startup as a top startup founder and in media outlets like CNBC, Mint, and Your Story. His work mainly focuses on tackling financial challenges faced by the elderly, striving to provide financial freedom and security through innovative solutions. Welcome, Kuldeep.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. Thank you everyone for joining in on a Friday. So we'll keep the whole session more informative so that you guys can learn a bit about what this NPS Vatsalya is. Right. So I have a quick slides I'll go through, but before that, I think we have about 20 people in the call. Um, we'll use the raise hand wala part more, right? So we'll keep it more interactive. If you have any questions, we'll have breaks in between as well, so that we can ask questions on those fronts as well, right? Uh, how many of you can hear me properly? Is there any issues coming along? Are we good to start? Just raise your hand and I'll get to know. I'll know that all of us are good there. Great. I think Gaurav is able to hear it. Perfect. I can get it from other folks as well. Cool. So we'll keep using that. I'll keep try to keep it more interactive. I won't bore you guys. If you feel I need to cover a couple of things, I'll do that as well. Right. So let's get started. Let me share my screen and then hopefully you are able to see that as well. Okay. So Gaurav gave us an introduction. That's one part of the thing, but I'm pretty much like you guys itself, right? So we work for about 8 years, being an employee, being an employer now. So we'll come back to the whole session, but we'll introduce ourselves again, and also what we will learn in this particular session altogether, right? So even though in the majorly part in this particular session, we'll try to cover NPS Vatsalya, basically National Pension Scheme, a pension account for kids, right? So I'm hoping like some of you guys might already have a national pension scheme account, which might be suggested by your CA or someone to save tax, right? So we'll try to cover what national pension scheme is, what are the couple of types of national pension scheme, and what is this all new, national pension scheme for kids? Like what will be needed for kids part of it, right? So we'll try to answer all those questions in this particular session. Also try to cover few stats and also few programs that employer can go for their employees, and then we'll go from there. As Gaurav mentioned that we have been presented our startup on Amazon Prime as well. We are lucky to have Zerodha as one of our backers, supporting us in the seed stage of early stage of building this particular startup. So we are very much pension focused or retirement focused startup, which you might not find many in the industry, right? About me, again, 10 years of experience in the industry. So I'm a licensed retirement advisor, NISM certified, worked across India, US, UK. So when I basically talk to people, I'm legally advised, and my intent is to make sure that some learn something about retirement planning altogether, right? So I come from that background where, and the intent is pretty heavy that in the next 3 to 7 years, we will see this industry rising up and the need will arise as well. About pension blocks, as Gaurav said, we are India's first pension platform focusing on privately employees, where intent is to help them plan their retirement better, right? With the right pension, with the right savings. So that is one major intent we work upon, right? So all of us know the movie Bhagwan, right? Like Amitabh Bachchan hote hain Bhagwan mein, or the whole problem he faces through relying on kids and parts. So typically, if you correlate with that, we are basically solving the Bhagwan problem over retirement planning. We have done it for multiple users. We have done it for multiple companies as well, but still early in the journey of building the pension platform for India. Okay, so how many of us know, national pension scheme already? Like how many have a national pension scheme account? I'm hoping a couple of folks might have it already. So let me just briefly tell you what national pension scheme is, right? So it's a government-backed retirement savings scheme. in which individuals can plan their retirement, can put money in so that they can utilize that money when the retirement comes, right? So it's a retirement focused saving scheme introduced by the government of India. Anyone who is, let's say, 18 to 70 and they want to plan their own retirement, that's basically called a self NPS, or let's say individual NPS choice. So any one of us can open up our own pension account, put money in that, and then keep some money locked in for a longer period of time, which is for your old age, for your retirement phase, right? That is called basically the self NPS. So if you do it yourself, you start creating an account, you put money in, you get the tax benefits, you will withdraw that money when the retirement comes. That's basically on you, and you are doing that yourself. Same national pension scheme account, which is your pension account, can be opened through a corporate as well, right? So that's that's type of a national pension scheme account is called a corporate national pension scheme account, which is a company can open national pension scheme account for their employees and then deduct a certain percentage and then submit that to you know the same NPS account, right? So the first two were already in the market. The recent budget introduced the new kind of national pension scheme, which is called NPS Vatsalya, or let's say NPS for kids. So one is basically for you, which is 18 plus. You can do it yourself. Second, a company can help you do it also for your long-term savings. And the third type has come up recently, which is called NPS Vatsalya. We'll talk more about it, but national pension scheme is structure-wise is very similar. You put money in, you choose a particular fund manager, you choose how much percentage should go to equity or let's say corporate bonds, and then going forward, that got invested and gives you a better return, right? So national pension scheme product is a very simple product focused on retirement savings. But there are three types of it. One is your individual NPS. So I'm pretty clear about like 18 to 70 is something which you already do. One where the company can do it for you guys, and then you get extra tax benefits over and above what you get in self NPS. The third kind and the newest kind is national pension scheme, right? So we'll talk one by one in that and focus more on national pension scheme for kids, right, which is below the 18 age, and take examples from there. First, self NPS. As I said, you can open up your own NPS account, which is tier one or a tier two. You get additional tax benefits there. So there is one tax benefit under ATC. So let's take an example. For example, I earn about my basic is about 50,000, and then I'll have a ATC limit under old tax regime, so which is 1.5 lakh. So if my 1.5 lakh limit is underutilized, I can put some money and get benefit here as the first tax benefit. Many of the people might not know about this. Everyone is basically aware about this part, right? So second tax benefit you get is your ADCCD 1B, which is up to the 50,000 of contribution, especially for your NPS. See, there's one major insight here, right? So whenever government want you to push towards something, right? They want you to save for your long term. They want you to save for your retirement, so that when you grow old, you should have enough pension savings, right? That's the whole idea of saving towards this. The way to go and push you or us, all of us, right, to save for the retirement is giving you extra tax benefits. So when you talk about saving for a retirement, every savings, let's say be a pet pension plan, be it PPF, EPF, all these savings, which are tend to be the longer term savings, are tax savings. So similarly, if you also open up your pension account or retirement account, you get two types of benefits in the old tax regime for your self NPS, right? And the left screenshot is basically the pension box where you can see both of them, how the growth is coming along and everything. The second version of it, right, is basically the corporate national pension scheme. So whatever we did in the last slide, where we did our own planning, we did our investment or on over, we get the tax benefits. There's additional tax benefit available also when it comes to company doing it for employees, right? So we all know that in the new tax regime, there is no tax benefit available now, right? We only get the standard deduction, but there's nothing ATC or house loan benefit, nothing like that, right? In the new tax regime, the only benefit available is a corporate national pension scheme, which can be up to 14% of the basic that we have, right? So both old tax regime and the new tax regime both gets the benefits in national pension scheme. But this type of a national pension scheme is basically executed from a company. So if you have a company, you work in a company, if a company does this for you get additional tax benefits also, right? Uh, Now let's come to the point where we all started doing it. So NPS Vatsalya, right? So we all first we understood about what the national pension scheme is, how many types of national pension scheme are available in India. One is yourself, you make your own investments, get the tax benefit. One from the company, where your company deducts certain amount and then you get the tax benefit. The third that recently launched in the recent budget is a unique pension scheme under the same structure, same design, only for the children, right? So let's understand this. Like the whole structure remains the same. The only difference is the beneficiary of this particular part is your kid, your children, but the investment can be made from a guardian and a parent perspective, right? So let's say now the pension account that they have created is also available for the people who are below 18, but the investment made is basically through a different mode. So the guardian and a parent open up a NPS account for their kid, and then they can choose the same fund managers. They have the same settings, the KYC requirements, similar returns as well, and the cost is also same. Just the use case is different. Earlier in the self part, we were opening up our own accounts. Now we are opening up our kids account, and then move forward doing the similar thing that we move forward. We'll talk deeper in that. What are the key three things of national pension scheme of for the kids is the target audience is parents and guardians, right? So we basically government wants that there could be an early start of retirement savings and long term savings, and there could be a long term investment compounding that can happen across the journey, right? So target audience is basically parents and guardians, someone who have an NPS account or who do not have an NPS account, not needed, right? Anyone can open up a NPS Vatsalya. Even if they don't have their own NPS account, they can do that. Long-term investment is the focus. So assume that my kid is 1 year old and I start putting money for him for 1,000 rupees a month, let's say 12,000 a year. That will go up to 18 year of age, and then he will have already have summed up some money before he started working, right? So idea is that we start early on retirement planning or financial planning, and then by the time he turns 18 or she turns 18, they have already have some savings on their bucket. Thirdly, the flexible contribution. So multiple times it's happened that you have a pension plan from LIC or some other part. If you miss a particular installments or a premium on that part, sometimes some affects the policy as well, right? But in this particular case, it's not like that. You can put 1,000 rupees, you can put 10,000 rupees, you can pause for a year and put next year something. So it's very flexible to you to put money in and not put money in or skip couple of months, all that. So the flexible contribution is one of the major features when it comes to saving for these kind of things. Now comes the investment part. So we should organically obviously ask like where should our money goes, right? So there are three categories where you can choose similar to national pension scheme. You can choose equity, government bonds, securities. You can customize that mix, saying that okay, 75% goes to equity, 10% goes to government bond, 15% goes to corporate securities on the part. So you can mix that, so parents can take that decision on behalf of the kids, saying that okay, this is what the risk profile or this is what the appetite look like, and I can make mix and match when it comes to investment option. And you can choose all the 11 fund managers. So Axis, ICICI, HDFC, SBI, LIC, Tata, DSP, all these are the pension fund managers in India. You can choose any pension fund, you can choose any percentage of equity. So it's flexible for you to do it on as a parent for your kid, right? That's one major change when it comes to this. Uh, let's talk about numbers. So we all talk about, okay, a parent can open up an NPS account for their kid. They can choose a fund manager. It will be long-term investment that they can do. What is the difference that they'll make, right? So the question that usually comes out to government as well, like why introduce such a product, right? So what they wanted to do from a perspective of building up a corpus. Let's say I have a kid who just newly born in India. I have an Indian parent, he's newly born or she's newly born. We start opening up a pension account for them. The investment duration of those pension accounts, let's say we start putting 10,000 rupees annually, right? Or let's say 1,000 rupees on a monthly basis, or we do the annually contribution on the part. After 18 years, that amount will build up to 5 lakhs approximately by 10% of our ROI. So let's take an account that in the last about 10, 12 years, the NPS has given about 12 plus returns, like 12% returns, 12 point, 86 is the ROR of the actual NPS returns in the last 10 years. So if we go about this calculation, if we start putting 10,000 rupees every month, every year, that's annual contribution for about 18 years of our kids, at, age up when he adults up, then we'll have a 5 lakh at the percentage of 10, right? That same contribution that we have made will build up to a different value by the time 60, where the kid is basically matured for the retirement, right? So the expected corpus for the long-term hit at the 10% will be 2.75 crore, right? So even if he doesn't do anything on the path, the same corpus invested for the longer period of year, his retirement will be much more sorted when it comes to doing that, just because we have a longer period of time. So same thing, if we calculate from 11.59%, which is much more higher on the equity side, 5.97 crore, or let's say about crossing 10 crores by 12% of the returns, if we do the same bit in the long run. See, very honestly, the idea here is that they should have a head start when it comes to planning their retirement or planning their career when they start their career. But as a parent, people can put some small check or some small amount of money every year on a year basis that gives them the head start, right? And that will build up a longer period of time. So the compounding is not happening for 10 years or 18 years. It's basically happening for about, let's say, almost 60 years, right? The 60 years of compounding putting together, that is giving that whole chunk, right? So that is one of the major calculation that recently they have also shared. But when you look at the actual corpus is building up, you will get the benefit of time for a longer period of time. Now comes the part, okay, what will happen if we want to exit the plan, right? So the partial exits are very similar to the NPS exit. So before he turns 18 or she turns 18, you can withdraw. After 3 years of joining NPS, you can withdraw 25% of the contributed amount for multiple reasons, for education, for other things, and you can do that 3 times during this particular period. There's partial education or education, treatment, specific illness, disability, all that similar to NPS, you can do that. Like a partial withdrawals are happening before 18. Once a person turns, let's say the kid turns 18, they can, convert the same NPS Vatsalya account to a normal NPS account, right? That is one part which can happen. Second, they can plan an exit also. So if they exit early, they basically exit about 80% in the pension form and 20% as a lump sum amount. And that's one part. If this condition only is valid if the annuity plan is available. Generally, annuity plan is not available in so early stages. So if annuity plan is not available, you can basically withdraw the whole part of it, right? So this is conditional exit when it comes to withdrawing it. Generally, what government or everyone wants this to happen is a build a start for their NPS journey or a, let's say, retirement savings journey on the path. How do we open NPS Vatsalya or these kind of things? So good point is that we are launching NPS Vatsalya, the fastest platform or the like very digital experience without any paperwork and anything on that sort on 14th of November next month. So basically about, let's say, 20 days ahead, we will launch it on Children's Day and on Pension Box app and the platform, so that all the NPS or retirement related things are on the one place, be it self NPS, be it corporate national pension scheme or NPS Vatsalya. On the other hand, if you really want to open it up early on, you don't want to wait till, let's say, next month, you can go to the website of government website, which is npstrust.org. And then later, once you open the account, you can add that same thing to the pension box, right? So you can basically track how things are going on, how to execute and everything. So if you really want to open up early on, you can go to the NPS Trust, open the NPS account, and later on add to the pension box. If you want to wait some more time, you can do that on pension box itself, right? Now, I'll take a break. I know I talked a lot. Happy to take any questions so far that we have accommodated. Any questions from anyone that's has come up? Oh, sorry, in the between, and then I'll take it forward for the remaining couple of things.
Guys, if you have any question, you can raise your hand so that I can unmute you. Or you can even put your question in chat box.
Yeah, I thought we'll give a 5-minute break in between so that we have questions recently on the topic of NPS for kids, and then take it from there. need to know more about corporate NPS or any other pension plan? Sure. So that is basically getting covered in the next couple of slides as well. So as I said, corporate national pension scheme gives you much more benefit uh, than your self NPS. That is something which is important to know. Well, I can explain more about it as well, but I'll see if the time allows. But corporate NPS is very straightforward. The HR has to take the initiative, or the company's owners has directors has to take the initiative and then roll it out to uh, come employees on the part. Sure, sure. I think Gaurav can share that, and also Pranath is also there, so we can connect separately on to show you how corporate NPS entirely works. Any questions on NPS for kids? I really thought it's a very fascinating product. Matlab, initially, I thought it will be a good product to have the opposite of this, like let's say kids coming back and saving for parents. But you know, what the government launch is basically opposite, like parents saving for kids. So I actually thought it's a very fascinating product to thought about for Indian audience because we are always saving towards our kids very much towards that, and I think government wanted that to happen. Any other questions there? Do you really think NPS for kids is something interesting for you or your kids to look at? No, okay. Any other question before I will pitch into the next part? Sure, Nishant. Gaurav will share that, and then my team will reach out, and I will reach out to you. Okay. Um, let's get started with the remaining part of it. Cool. Let me quickly share my screen back. Okay, so we are done with the first part of the things, which is talking how a company can do it for their employees, and also how parents can open this up for their kids, and what are the key timeline benefits of it. The next thing I want to talk about is something which is I've seen globally, working for US, UK, and now in India. Something what are changing, and I'm sure you guys can agree to it or disagree to it. But these are a couple of economic shift that is happening, and it will impact us in a long run, right? Before I tell you more about it, I just want to show you this part because once every one of us is clear, this is how a typical curve of career look like. Matlab, this is basically ideal, but it never be like straight line or the smooth curve that we see. But it's typically tend to be like we start at a particular age, we keep working and depositing money, saving up, building up our corpus till the retirement age happens. By the time we should have our retirement goal achieved, could be a 3 crore or a 2 crore or a 5 crore or 10 crore, depending upon what our lifestyle are or what not, right? But this is typically how it starts. It typically starts at an age where we start working until the retirement age happen. We keep up saving and eventually we start withdrawing that same amount. That is called a pension, right? So pension is nothing but a withdrawal from your existing savings, and then we keep utilizing that for our old age and the retirement part of it, right? Now, a couple of variables are there. So retirement age can reduce to 45 or 50 or 60 or 65. This can change. So imagine if this is changing, the graph will change as well, right? So this is something which is we all should know. Like we should be on the same page before I talk more about what's happening across in this particular space and what are the key things which will change in the future also, right? But I hope everyone is clear about we starting at a particular age, and it could be your age that you're starting off. We keep working for a couple of years, we keep depositing some amount for a retirement, put aside some money there. Retirement age comes, it could be changed from 60 to 40 or 45 or 50 or 65 or 70 as well, right? And then we assume that okay, as per India's life expectancy, this is how much we are supposed to live. We will keep withdrawing the money and the graph goes down, right? And especially if you look at the last couple of years, it goes down very heavily due to health expenses on the part, right? The first thing or the first couple of changes that is happening globally is basically happening of the early retirement side. So we are basically changing our jobs very frequently. uh, the career peak part in our ecosystem happens in 50s somewhere, right? And then we change the roles as well. So couple of mixed things are happening across, and it will keep on happening in the next couple of future as well. So a lot of people wants to do early retirement as a part. So there's a will towards it. So I'll retire early, right? Second is career peak. So this is career peak is something which is supposed to have a peak in our career, right? So once we reach a particular level of a director or a VP or somewhere, we feels like this is the part where we are get stuck. So it's a pyramid kind of a part where career peaks and then we are forced to get into early retirement or change of our roles on the particular part. So a lot of people in their 50s and their 60s basically finds hard to job find a job in their career when they are in 50s or 60s. So as we grow older, the chances of getting us a job in that particular level, the career peak part comes in the picture. If we do it ourselves, that's basically early retirement. We change our roles, we do something we are passionate about, and earn as well. We have some savings there. It could be from the health issues, it could be from the career peak side of it, but this is something which is changing globally, right? So the last page that we looked at, the retirement age is 60. It could change to 50 as well, forcefully due to health expenses or health challenges, or it could be wishful, saying that, okay, I want to do it at 40 or 45 or 50 on the part, right? But this retirement age is not fixed anymore. Everyone is changing this particular bit, and accordingly, the goal should change as well as we move forward to that. So that is one major thing which is changing across the globe. We will see around us, around our circles as well, that people talk about not going till 60 as a retirement, but retiring at 50 or 55, or take a change of roles and do something else on the side. So this is one thing which is globally changing when it comes to, and this is impacting our, it will impact our finances, believe it or not, and it is impacting already when it comes to that. The second one major thing or major insight which is changing globally again is that world don't want us to save anymore. It's very real. Like it's very easy to spend money today, right? It's very easy to spend money on anything you want globally that you want, but it's equally tougher to save money now, right? So there is very less incentive provided, or very less, you know, motivations for us to save, versus there is many more motivations for us to expend the money on the particular part of it, right? So when it comes to doing this, when I set this particular graph, imagine if we keep working in the down the line, we never build up this curve, right? So if we never save up or never build up this particular curve down the line to reach a retirement goal, that's exactly what is happening right now across the globe, right? So it's very easy to spend something and get it delivered to you in 10 minutes, right? It's very easy to, even if you don't have the money in the bank, but you get a swipe a credit card and then get it to a particular part. So it's around us. It's just that no one really talks about it because it's good for a companies who make us do that, right? So if there's a loan company, they're more successful than compared to a savings company, right? So that's across globally happening. There is data around it as well. I could share the data, but this is a summary of what is happening across us, which will impact down the line, all our finances as well. So if you look at this particular graph, uh, what is basically happening that we are not able to save up. Even if we are able to save up, that goes down. So this graph is somewhere like this zigzag where if we save up something, the money goes out again. We withdraw from our PF amounts, we spend on a particular part. So spending habits are grown crazy, which eventually impact this particular whole curve as well. We might not be able to reach this particular goal, might not be able to have the same kind of a luxury in the retirement part of it, and that's actually impacting the long term impact of the whole retirement planning. That's majorly two parts. I don't want to go about doing like four or five or 10 on the part, but these are the two major things which are changing among us. If you start observing these things among your environment, among your circles, you'll realize that these are a couple of things which is happening across. It's very easy to spend on something. It's very easy to save. It's not very easy to save about something, right? So you don't want to save about something. You want to spend and then get it done, and it will impact your long-term finances on the part. And secondly, your either a wish to retire early or forceful career peaks or change of roles. This will also impact on the particular part. One of the major things which is happening here is one is rising cost also. So if we are buying something for 10 rupees, now we are buying it for 100. It's just not that you spend a lot, but also things are getting more and more costlier day by day, and our living expenses going above. But the summary of whole things about spending is this, right? This is what I've seen. I've noted there's multiple reports about it. But once you start observing these two things, you'll get to know that these are exactly happening the way it is, and it will impact this curve, which looks so perfect right now, but it won't be this perfect when it actually drawn over the period of time, right? Uh, Again, questions, anything before I close off and then go cover the last bit, which talks about what are the programs the companies can do on the part. Yeah. Okay. So I think we have some question. Is there any tax benefits for kids NPS? They have discussed this particular part. It will come under the same ATCCD 1B category, but there could be more announced on this part in the next budget or recent couple of announcements. So Ministry of Finance are yet to declare more tax benefits on this. But so far, the understanding here is that it will come under the same 50,000 tax bracket. So if we are putting, let's say, 10,000 rupees or on a yearly basis, that comes under same ATCCD 1B. But we will be able to clarify more once we get the more clarity for Ministry of Finance and then they talk more about it. But there will be a tax benefit for NPS for kids. I hope I answered your question, Kritika. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Any other questions, guys? Do you agree to these 2 points? Do you agree to this? Okay, it's easier to spend nowadays than easier to save. Or is there something which you want to add to these 2 points? I got 4 or 5 points, but I thought I'll just keep it two because it's easier to remember 2 points there. Does this make sense? Should we move forward? Okay. So let me go to the last part of it. Okay. So the last part is little interesting because I'll keep the last 10 minutes for question answers if there's any or any discussion on the particular part, right? So as I think Prashant asked about like corporate NPS or what the retirement readiness looks like, right? So there are three parties in your retirement planning, right? One is obviously you. So you take a call whether you want to plan for your retirement, you want to save towards it. There is one major role played by the government where they want to push forward a particular scheme or a product or make sure that your money is safe, it's trusted. There's all regulations in the place, right? So there's second role in the government side. The third role comes from your company, right? So the third role is where the PF comes into the picture. Third role where the company comes can push you to say, get learn something. So there's definitely a management role, but there is other two roles as well. I'm just highlighting that it's not just the company's responsibility, but also your responsibility and a government's responsibility. It's basically three people making sure that you are retirement ready when it comes to doing that, right? But I'll just briefly talk about what the company's responsibility could be extra over and above to that particular part, right? So government made sure that we have a PFRD, which is a regulatory body for retirements and pensions. They are proper licenses, proper regulatory space, which is money safe if people putting money for retirement savings, all that, right? So government's role is getting uh, all this regulatory part done, other things. Your role is to get opt in for such things. Make sure you start saving some amount. So your role is also there. There's one major role from a management perspective is to make sure that you get the right tools to do it, right? Right tools to retirement planning, right tools to open an NPS account, or there's anything that you can do. There's one major thing which we always promote in the retirement readiness piece is divided into four parts, right? So what I'm showing you right now is basically the screenshot of our company's retirement readiness. So we created a platform where a company's retirement readiness can be measured, right? So let's say out of all the people, if everyone knows retirement planning, it's 100%. If let's say 83% of the people have opted in for corporate NPS, it's about 83%, right? The people are engaged in the way where they are tracking their everyday basis. They are engaged in the whole part. They know that okay, this is the amount I need to know, this is the amount I am putting money in as well. That's 100%, right? The activation is something which they do the KYCs, they open up the NPS account, they sign up, they have downloaded the app, So there's activeness towards that. So the whole retirement readiness from a company's perspective is divided into four parts. One, teaching all the employees that they learn retirement planning, making sure that they choose corporate NPS, or get to know the benefits of corporate NPS before they chose that, and then take forward from there. Third is they engage with them. Let's say every month or a quarterly basis, they go back, teach them more. So the engagement has to be ongoing activity there. And lastly, the activation part of it, where we have to ensure that all the people understand it, take particular action to it, and that's become the activation part. And what I'm showing you right now is pension box report, which is how we are looking at. We are still not 100%. We are still very good at 94% of the retirement readiness for our employees, and we made sure that how does this whole workout on the way. One of the things that we do in this particular journey, that we help companies, do this. So this was the retirement readiness, but to execute, to get to this particular point or get to the retirement readiness part for any company, we go through this particular task where we, make sure that we roll out to a particular company, we get the employees onboarded, we teach them how the retirement planning works, and this is something which is a company's dashboard to execute it, right? So we push it more forward, saying that okay, if you want to do a self NPS or individual NPS, or let's say corporate NPS or even NPS for kids, it can be executed, but the initiative can be taken by a company to do it for their employee. And this is how we execute it. This is exactly our own dashboard where it comes to Pension Box India, and then we opt it out. This is what it looks like on the part. The last thing a company should be able to do is to plan out the entire journey, and or maybe partner with a company, something like us. Again, a founder will always promote their product, right? So we are always there to help you out in this particular journey. And there's this corporate NPS where things goes around and then you move forward from there. So what we do at our own side, we make sure there's all these four checks of retirement readiness for the managements, right? Uh, so what I'm saying is that basically management can do this themselves as well, but as a partner, we are very specialized in doing this for the companies that they do. But every company or every management should go for planning, making sure there's stuff, webinars or workshops or teaching sessions on retirement planning. There is benefits like corporate NPS where employees can contribute and save extra taxes, right? There should be more engagement on the part, but we make sure that we do it from our side. This is how we do it for multiple companies. We have already done for a couple of companies there. And this is the summary of what our company more can do, which is getting corporate NPS for their own bit, right? So this is what the management role look like. Government is doing their role. You are playing your role as well. And the lastly, what we focus on is the retirement readiness. So at the end of the day, we have 100 people, and all of us knows how to plan their retirement. All of us knows that okay, whether they want to contribute something on NPS or not, that's something, but at least they know the awareness should be there. They engage into it. They get activated. They do something. That's how we plan to do it. And I hope this is what a management will look at and then decides to do it for their employees, and that will help us getting this curve much smoother, right? So there's one part where we contribute, one part our employer can contribute as well, and eventually end goal here. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much from our side. We do help out in this particular part of it, getting a couple of things done. And as I said, usually the last slide is the ending. Okay, there's a typo there, but this is just the beginning where we keep doing a couple of things. I think we keep having more sessions on a couple of parts, but I think that's pretty much from my side. I'm happy to take any questions, anything on the sides. Uh, yeah, I think there's a couple of is employer NPS plus kids NPS can lump sum in one line assumption. So employer NPS is there's no upper limit for an employer NPS. There is kids NPS will come under 50,000 tax bracket, right? Only the kids NPS part. Employer NPS can go over and above 1.5 lakh. So let's say my basic is 1 lakh. I can deposit, 10,000 every month when it comes to old tax regime, or 14,000 every month on that part. So my employer NPS can be much more higher based on what basic I have already. But kids NPS will be 50,000 bracket, which is basically the self NPS category on that part. But employer NPS is over and above in this particular part of it. So you can did I answer your question? So employer, let me just quickly show you one thing. Okay. Yeah, so I think this will help out. Okay, so I hope you can see it. So old, let's say you are choosing an old tax regime, right? You get three tax benefits, right? So 80 CCD, which is 1.5 lakhs. So the kids, NPS kids will come under this particular category, 80 CCD 1B, which is 50,000. And if we are also doing employer NPS, then we will unlock this also. So if let's say employer is not doing it, we'll still get these benefits here. If employer is doing it, then we'll get this extra tax 10% benefit. So overall, this whole part, this first two parts can be up to 2 lakhs, but there is no upper limit here. It basically depends on your basic. So if your basic is 50,000, that comes out to be up to 5,000 a month, basically 60,000 extra. If your basic is higher, then basically this benefit can go over and above these two. It's a sum. You also get this, you also get this, you also get this. When it comes to new tax regime, there's the benefit which is available, and the new tax regime is basically employer NPS, which is corporate NPS, right? And the percentage can be much higher, which is 14% of the basic. So let's say your basic is 1 lakh, you can go up to 14%, with 14,000 per month in this, and the entire money will be tax free in this particular part. So there's no upper limit as we summarize. So in the employer NPS, which is this category, there's no specified upper limit. There's upper limit for self contribution, which is 1.5 lakh and 50,000. But for the employer, there is no upper limit. There's only a restriction to the contribution that we make based on our basic. Does this make sense? I hope I was able to clear that out. In new tax regime, there is only one benefit, which is employer NPS. So in new tax regime, you don't get ATC or any other benefit, right? But Ministry of Finance haven't like they haven't declared anything on the new tax regime. But the as of now, this particular benefit, the 14% part, is available under new tax regime. That way. There is no clarity on new tax regime and a kids NPS, but new tax regime only have one benefit period. There's no other tax benefit across. Like there's no PTF, EPF, ELSS, nothing. Like there's no tax benefit at all in new tax regime. The only benefit you get in new tax regime is employer or a corporate NPS, which is up to the 14%. I think we are about time. I hope I was able to give you some brief about how these things work, what are the things which are changing across the journey, uh, create some value for a Friday, right? Any other question you can unmute and then ask, or let's say raise a hand and then ask, I guess. Um, it's about last 10 minutes that we are left with. I think Gaurav, I'm done. So happy to take any questions for
Yes,
the last 10 minutes.
guys, yes, there's no. Okay, perfect. Thanks. Yes. Guys, you can raise your hand or you can simply put the question in chat box. Please ask question if you have any doubts about NPS Vatsalya or the NPS anything. You can ask Kuldeep. We got 10 minutes.
Cool. If there is any questions or no, Gaurav, you wanna? I'll share the presentation if people wanna look at that later. Matlab, if you
Yes,
wanna share it
sure.
after that,
If
then we can
even
share it.
okay, 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 sorry. If you can share the contact details if someone wants to contact you or pension box team for any doubts, you can even share
Yes,
that details as well.
sure, we can do that. Pranath, can you drop in the chat the email ID and the number? Yeah, yeah. Perfect. Happy to take if anyone wants to know more about on a one-on-one session or a 20-minute quick demo call, any of these things, be it corporate NPS or uh, I'll also put down my number. Okay, I'm not able to. I think Pranath can do that. Yeah. So if happy to do that, if anyone wants to know more about corporate NPS or NPS for kids on a 20-minute small session, we can do that. Please, Pranath have done that from my team. His email, his number is there. Please reach out and then we'll take it forward from there. And I think thank you so much, Gaurav, for having me. I hope I made a difference. That's pretty much all we wanted. And I think everyone can have a great Friday, great evening. Okay, there's one more question. In case we are opting for corporate NPS in new tax regime, is 14% is variable or fixed 14? It's variable. So you can choose even 1% or 2% or 3% or let's say two up to 14%. So it's not 14% fixed, it's up to 14%. If let's say a company decides, they can also match. So it's very customizable. Let's say a company can also match 7%, but its up total should be up to 14. You can also have 1% also as a part there. So 1, 2, 3, whatever. It's up to 14%. Yeah, cool. Done.
Okay, cool then. I guess there are no more questions left in the chat box. Thank you so much, Kuldeep, for giving us your time, valuable
Thank
time.
you.
Okay, and see you soon, guys. You can subscribe to our newsletter as well as you can follow us on LinkedIn. Even you can follow Pension Box on LinkedIn so that you can get more updates about the future updates in Pension Box as well as from the Pocket Genius side. You can get more updates about the Smart Talk series. So see you soon. See you probably in the next month for another edition of Smart Talk. Have a great weekend. Happy weekend. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kuldeep.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Have a great
Yeah.
weekend.
Thanks, Pranav. Bye.
Thank you.